Hello guys, and welcome to a new Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 3 versus 3 on Brest West, and I'm going to be playing with the 8th Cavalerie Purtata with the balanced deployment type. As you can see, things are already underway, so let me take you through what we got down very quickly. Got a Breda on the roads just to have a go at the transports, but my opponent going to be unloading in time. Otago there, familiar name on the channel. Got a couple of Per Kiilstofte on the right hand side with the Cavalerie, same on the left. Both going to be assisted by Purtata to provide extra veterancy. The ZB here going to be helping get the pin onto the Big Light Pioneer, but definitely under fire by the Schützen and those Big Lights, taking them down to 2 health early on, but the Big Light Pioneer taken out, which is really nice. We're going to be up against the 78 Sturm on the right hand side here to begin with. And taking out one of those Big Light Pioneers is really good because they are limited number in any division that they come in. Up on the ridge I do have a couple of these Zrini. These are Hungarian assault guns, in this case manned by Romanians because they are captured. And I also have a Turan 2, a Hungarian light tank. It's going to be assisting me, again manned by Romanians. This is a Romanian division which just uses a bunch of Hungarian and German armour. The Sturmschützen being pushed back up the hill there under fire from the HE of the Zrini at the same time, so we're able to take that out. We take out the Schützen. Like overall we got off to a very good start against Otago's infantry. Now I just need to kind of clear him out of this tree line here, this little patch of trees, and then I'm in a much nicer position moving forwards, because the longer the game goes, the harder it's going to be for me to control the ranged engagement. So I don't want him to be comfortable on the edge of this hill. So getting in this tree line, very important. That bomber though, coming in from Enclave, the 4th Fallschirmjäger player, going to be giving Otago a hand there, taking out my Cavalerie, which is probably one of my better longer range infantry squads. We're also going to be seeing there the Panzervernichtungs getting the better of the Turan 2, so I'm losing a little bit of fire support. And the Cavalerie coming up against the Schützen, which also decent long-range infantry. But better than that, Enclave's bringing in a Focke-Wulf 190 that's going to pin down all 3 of these units and leave me in a very bad spot. My Per Kiilstofte there not falling back, and then running into enemy infantry, getting them surrendered. So what started off really well is kind of turning on me right now. They're going to be bringing the horses forwards in order to try and get some 20mm fire on target. If I can stay at a decent range in the light cover, then I should be able to kill anything that doesn't have a Panzerschreck. Of course, I will have to keep an eye on the Panzervernichtungs and make sure that they aren't engaging me first of all. So having the infantry in front is going to be most important. Schützen there already a little bit pinned down, so the Cavalerie able to force them back. But Sturmschützen also going to be very good in this sort of scenario. At the moment he doesn't have any veterancy on them, so they're not as effective as they could otherwise be. But they're still pretty meaty squads. 13 strength, all with MP44s. The Per Kiilstofte, especially when they have a lack of numbers, will get chewed up, just like the Cavalerie did on the right hand side there. But Verlongs though, maybe not so scary for my infantry. They are 15-man squads, which can be very sticky, but ultimately their firepower is limited due to their Russian weapons. Purtata here gonna try and finish up on the suppression that the Per Kiilstofte started in order to do some damage against the Sturmschützen. And now my infantry under fire from a Nashorn that has taken up position on the hill. And I mentioned before that Otago would start to be able to control the long-range engagement a little bit better from this hill. And the reason I want to be in here is so I can have AT guns that stop him from coming to the edge. But now I don't control this right-hand side. His Nashorn's free to sit up here and even attack my Zrini that cannot fire back. These do have heat shells, but they can only fire the heat round 1,500 meters. The HE shell can be fired at 2,000 meter range, but I won't want to engage the Nashorn with the HE round, because over time the Nashorn will just eventually kill me before I kill the Nashorn with that. So Ju-87, I thought, you know what, it's early in the game, maybe I can sneak a Ju-87 through to bomb the Nashorn. I was wrong. There was a 37 set up on the left hand side already. Thankfully I have a 25mm set up now to force back the BF-109, because I want to stop these bombing strikes that are coming in from Enclave and his Focke-Wulfs, because so far they have really swung the tide of this infantry engagement. I did lose a transport here, unfortunately, to the Nashorn, which is going to keep forcing me to unload my infantry early, and the HE from the Nashorn even chipping my Vernatore de Garda pretty well. Now, I did bring up a couple of Cavalerie Moto here. My plan was to get these to the edge of the heavy, or the green cover here, to fight over the yellow cover, but they end up bumping into 2 units of Battlegroup Pioneers. Very, very scary to bump into at close range, because they have high veterancy, they've got MP44s, which is a great combination on its own, and then they also have the HE grenade. And then at range, they have that MG42 and the MP44s if they're fighting in light cover, which is like a super nasty combination. Battlegroup Pioneers in this area are really, really good. Now, unfortunately, I lost one 20mm vehicle already to the Panzerfaust there. I lose another one. A little bit of miss micro on my part, getting it too close, not really respecting the range to the heavy cover here, and yeah, that's really unfortunate for me to lose. Same deal here. This is what should happen. I should just be able to engage him freely with these 20mm before they get close enough to do enough damage, but yeah, I didn't manage a couple of them right, lost them for free, and that wasn't great. You can see that also this right side is now being cleaned out, including one of my 25mm AA going down, which is going to open me up to the Focke-Wulf bombing strikes again. And furthermore, there's enemy artillery coming in, so things aren't going fantastic right now. More Pioniere Cavalerie going to be brought in to reinforce. I'm going to have to unload those early and walk them down the slope, because the Nashorn can otherwise take them out in their transports. Zreni coming under fire on the right hand side. Nashorn moved into range to engage that, and it wasn't quite in cover, I don't believe, so ends up getting hit. Now both of my Zreni pretty low on health. Schützen, unfortunately, machine gun here in line of sight of the Nashorn, so whilst it might just be able to shoot down or pin down the Schützen in time, reinforcements from Enclave and Nashorn of a Targo going to be able to kill that easy peasy. Now the Panzervernichtung's coming up, this time more than enough range to take out my 20mm, so that one's going to go down, and the Vernatore de Garda going to get forced off. So things looking very, very bad for me, that's for sure. But I'm hoping that my Pioniere Cavalerie can at least get back down into the green cover here in order to continue to contest this for the time being. But it really doesn't help that Enclave has opted to bring over his Paracadadisti and the Falchion Pioneer. Both of those units are from the 4th Fallschirmjäger, and they're pretty rough for me to deal with, because just like the Battlegroup Pioneers, the Falchion Pioneers are actually very decent at close range. Cavalerie Moto trying to get some MG fire down, but now smoke coming in, which is going to stop my Zreni from attacking those as they try and cross the street. But so far, it's not too bad. I mean, this flag is what we were contesting initially, and that was giving us a 15-13 advantage. We're also contesting this flag, which is good. My Vernatore de Garda currently chilling there. But now we have moved into Phase B, so my options are going to open up quite a bit for this game in terms of dealing with things at range. Like, it gets better for the 78 Sturm, of course, because he can bring in IG-33s to support his last ones if he wants, which is a very nice combination. But I'm going to be able to bring in Reshica if I want, and I can also bring in artillery. And the Romanian artillery is actually pretty good right now, so I'm going to be opting to use the artillery. You can see the 100mm artillery coming in back here with the Skoda supply trucks. And they will be towing these into positions ready to try and take out the Nashorn from a distance. Wolf coming in for another bombing strike, gets forced off this time, thankfully. But my position here is dire, to say the least, between both of these Venatori de Guarda that can only engage at 100 meters and the Kalashimoto. Machine guns coming in there from the Begleitpioneer and the Bavierungs, taking out the Hotchkiss. Now the Venatori de Guarda can't even fight back and potentially smoke it off, but I'd kind of just given up on those infantry in the time being. Zorini, though, able to at least get some damage onto the Bavierungs, so there's that. Couple 20 mils coming in. I have brought in a Jagdpanzer on the left-hand side. That's eventually going to be pushing forwards through the cover here in order to prevent any infantry from just running across the open freely, basically. And also, if I get it into a good position, I might have range onto the edge of the hill further up. But Bofors now going to be joining us. Need to get my AA reinforced, as both of the 25 mils have gone down, which, again, as I said before, will open up bombing strikes from the Focke-Wulfs again, so we want to try and avoid that as much as possible. But my 100 mil artillery going to be taking different targets, one targeting the Schutzen on the left hand side, one's aiming towards where we saw the Nashorn go, and one is aiming into this tree line where I saw an infantry squad previously. So my plan now is to try and brute force my way off the edge of this hill. So 3 units of Kalashimoto, 3 units of Venatori de Guarda. Zorini is going to try and cover off against the Schutzen here, which is nice. But you can see Otago is trying to sneak around to get shots onto the Zorini. Kalashimoto actually get a lot of damage here done onto the Begleits, catch them out moving. And the MG42, I'm hoping would finish those off. Now we got counter battery coming in, so I'm going to be trying to counter battery them with my own 100 mils. The Begleits managed to stay alive. Mortar fire is going to catch those. Just a little bit late, unfortunately. Venatori de Guarda managed to at least catch some Guestatori Para, which is good. And yeah, those Schutzen were dealt with. So the Venatori de Guarda still holding that position. Nice thing about the Venatori de Guarda is they are fanatical. And they do have like a reasonably good loadout. But they have 4 submachine guns, so at close range against units that also don't have specialized close range infantry weapons, they do relatively well. And then at range they've got double ZB. So they're okay. They're like relatively good all-round infantry. But the fact that they are fanatical is the main thing that is beneficial, because they can't be surrendered. The more Venatori de Guarda are going to be coming in. I've got one of my artillery pieces targeting the far side forest, so that as the Bavierungs come in, I have a suppression advantage. And you see my infantry is now lining up ready to push down the hill, and I've got a new unit of Venatori de Guarda leaders to help me out here. Meanwhile, Grim Guy's trying to push up into the town, and on the left, Spicy Rub's fighting Skama over here, and his 4th Munter. Venatori de Guarda managing to get better of one of the Parakadatisti because it unloads too late, and the transport gets taken out by the Haftalagen. I'm going to be looking to try out and take out the second one, as Enclave getting a little bit lazy here. Do manage to just about kill it, and I'm hoping to kill off the Parakadatisti. Should work out because we do have the 4 submachine guns and we're able to engage at this range. So I managed to almost pin them down. But another Parakadatisti coming in from the other side. My artillery not quite getting the pin in time. But thankfully, because they're fanatical, they're not going to surrender. But the Focke-Wulf coming in again from Enclave. Going to be taking out another one of my Venatori de Guarda. And these Focke-Wulf 190s so far have really been a pain in my ass. Well, Enclave's not going to stop being a pain in my ass, as he now has brought in 2 SPW AB-43s, which are going to be able to cleanly engage my Cavalerie motor as they try and come off the edge of the hill. He's also invested in a Sturmpanzer to back up the Nashorn of Otago. So, the perfect combination of units that's just going to make things incredibly difficult for me to push forwards. I'm so reliant on my artillery now, it's unbelievable. Because even a Rashid-Tsar wouldn't be that reliable against the Sturmpanzer. Because the Sturmpanzer 4 does have like the fire position trick that it can do, right? It can just fire position the tree line that the Rashid-Tsar's in, pin it down before it is able to get in line of sight, and therefore you're in trouble. Now, I'm trying to get this Turan onto this flag so that I can just control the little bit of light cover here without being in line of sight of the edge of the hill. I've got another Bofors coming in to make sure that we can try and shut down some of the air, but a little bit of complacency. As I was trying to push forwards the infantry, I also pushed forwards the Serini to cover them, and one of them gets caught by the Nashorn. So I lose one of the Serini, and you can see that the Sturmpanzer making life very difficult for the Venatore de Garda. Also an IG now coming in from Otago, the IG-33. So it's not going to really get any better for me on this right hand side. My push just being utterly annihilated really, and I decide to just fall back for the time being. Nothing else I can do on this right hand side. So what's the solution? Well, currently Grim's doing a good job in the mid, mainly due to Enclave focusing a lot on helping Otago. Grim's managed to actually take ground here, which is nice. Good job by him to push up in that position. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and focus on controlling this objective, because there's no way I can get off the edge of this hill now. I can stop him getting up the hill and therefore taking this flag, but I'm not going to be able to really push off the hill and take back the close range engagement. Not with both 4th Fallschirmjäger and 78 Sturm infantry in the tree lines. Like, that's just not really something that the 8th is going to be able to deal with. That's 2 of the best infantry divisions in the game. Well, 78 Sturm for sure. 4th Fallschirmjäger, you know, they have some good infantry, but not like loads of it. Nashorn does manage to pick off the 2nd Zrini there. So we're down to the last Zrini. We only have 3 of them as I bring them in at double vet. So it's really going to be up to whether or not my Venatore de Garda and the Cavalerie here can push forwards and clean out this flag. And then if I can clean that out, then I should be able to, you know, utilize the cover here in order to get more troops into better positions and kind of focus more towards this flag rather than this flag. So that was the plan. Artillery, meanwhile, continuously firing towards the Nashorn, towards the Pack 40 we saw on the ridge here. One of them's counter-battering. And usually I wouldn't recommend splitting your artillery like this, but in this case it kind of works out because the 100mm artillery is very accurate, particularly with radio. So I'm able to take out the Pack 40, or at least force it back quite reliably. The Venatore de Garda find the Paracadutisti holding the flag there, and I'm going to be taking the opportunity to run it forwards. So my Cavalerie have spotted the Paracadutisti as they open up with the Breda. A couple of Venatore de Garda going to be helping pinning those down. I've got the Turan now moving up to assist, and these aren't fanatical, so I just pinned down this Paracadutisti on the right hand side and I'm able to surrender all of those. Meanwhile, the Sturmpanzer 4 still causing me issues, but we have managed to take back this flag, which is good. Big rocket strike here and do a lot of damage. The Nebelwerfers coming out of the 78 Sturm. Gonna hit a bunch of my infantry, take out a couple of vehicles there as well. But as long as he can't get up onto the hill and hold a position here, like, I'm fine. Like, I'm not too concerned about that. Probably not gonna really reinforce it too much from now on. Turan gonna be committing to pin down the Bewährungs and able to find the surrender there. So now engaging the paracadutisti further to the left, bringing up some Cavalerie moto to back us up. Got the Bofors in position. These are JU 188s, and these have 1,000 kilogram bombs, not just one but two of them. So my Vunatore de Garda not going to be having a great time. Unfortunately, both the Turan and the Vunatore de Garda are going down, and then the last squad there down to 2 men. BF 109 G2 did get brought in to try and deal with that, but evac'd at the wrong time, gets it shot down by the BF 109 G6. Probably would have died to enemy AA anyway, because there was a couple of 88s and a flak 43 aiming at it. Yeah, tons of Cavalerie moto now coming in. I'm also going to be investing into the 75mm Vickers here to get that into position and provide AA support. I've also got another Turan on the way, because I want to have a Turan in this tree line again if I can. Schutzen, however, making it difficult for my Vunatore de Garda to get into position. Paracadutisti revealing themselves will allow my Cavalerie to get closer, which is fine. So Jagdpanzer in a decent position further up. I will be able to kind of cover these open areas. Now Nebelwerfer's firing again, this time finishing off the last couple men there. Just setting up now for a push to the left side, and we're going to have a couple of these Cavalerie try and cover the open ground. Vunatore de Garda also going to be pretty important. They come with the close range HE grenade, but also a Panzerschreck, and in this sort of terrain you can often bump into light vehicles in the light cover, so making sure I have a Panzerschreck with me is quite important. I'm going to try and get the Pak 38 into position to deal with the SBW AB 43, and are actually forced back for the time being. I have opted to bring in another 100mm, so we now got 4 of them, and they're all going to focus towards the Sturmpanzer. I've purposely fire positioned a little bit short of the Sturmpanzer just to make sure that I have radio onto that, so the dispersion's a lot less. And as long as I can get like a decent number of hits on target, we will eventually be able to take that out. And the first 2 shots there, you can see, have damaged that Sturmpanzer quite significantly. Now, if that's dead, it does potentially open up pushes off the edge of the hill again. But we will still need to deal with the IG-18s of Otago. And now Enclave's also brought in the LG-40, which is also good at dealing good damage at long range. Nebelwerfer smashing the area of the Cavalerie, not getting too much damage done though. Turan charging forwards, try and get into the light cover there. And now I'm finally bringing up a Reshica. So I didn't bring up a Reshica on the right hand side earlier because like, the AT guns do have trouble, like if they're on a downward slope, they have trouble getting their gun up high enough to engage. And also, they're going to get potentially killed by IGs and the Sturmpanzers anyway, so it didn't really seem worth it. But the Ju-188's coming in again, with those 4 1,000 kilogram bombs between them. And just like before, the Vunatore de Garda and the Turan go down. And I still don't have enough AA, so we're going to have to bring up even more, and another Bofors is going to be on its way. Meanwhile, Spicy Rub has committed 4 T-34 76s to push up the road here, and I've also brought up my own Jagdpanzer to support us. But since Spicy was doing relatively well over here, he decided to give me a little bit of a help, which was nice, as I am obviously struggling against the forces of both Otago and Enclave. But Grim Guy, as I said before, taking advantage of that by securing this flag. Ineri Assault, or sorry, these are Roscioli Assault now coming in. Roscioli Assault are pretty scary. They have multiple submachine guns, the Berettas with the 150 meter range. They have rifles, and then they also have Molotovs. So really, really strong close range infantry. And now I've managed to get across the open here with the long range infantry. I'm bringing in the Roscioli Assault to actually push through the heavy cover because I wasn't convinced that my Cavalerie would be able to do the job. So I've opted to actually send my Cavalerie towards the light cover, further to the right. I did bring up a Ju-88 here, as you can see. Almost crashes into my artillery. That was just a recon Ju-88. Try and see what we're up against here. And yeah, the Australia Assault, they'll be able to clean through the close range cover here. So I'd probably do a similar thing over here if it wasn't covered from this ridge. Cavalerie bumping into enemy close range infantry and not having a good time. Exactly the reason why I was waiting for these Australia Assault to arrive. MG42 taking a decent amount of damage from the Cavalerie, which is good. And we're able to make some decent ground here so far. And we're starting to get close to being able to capture this flag. Meanwhile, Venatori di Gada still holding position here. Look at the fire and the flames. Not a fun time for that guy, as he's forced to be in a position where Nibelwerfers and 1,000 kilogram bombs constantly strike. So Sturmschützen at close range. Not a good matchup for my Cavalerie and Cavalerie Moto, but thankfully we do have a sniper. That does help out with the pinning. And as long as I can get the suppression down there, that's all we need. He doesn't have any veterancy, so we should be able to get that job done. And just like that, able to take care of the Sturmschützen. And we're getting closer and closer to taking this flag. Now we have the Para Commando leader engaging us. Falchion Pioneers. Not great for my Australia Assault. Able to fall back in the right direction just in time. Falchion Pioneer really, really difficult to deal with. Another Falchion Pioneer further to the left. This one supported by the Takam. So running forward the Cavalerie Moto to potentially get the surrender once they get pinned down. And more infantry being brought in, more Cavalerie Moto, the Artilleria leader. We've also got the Pack 40 here that's shooting down the road, so that's why I unloaded them in that position. But both the Falchion Pioneer now taken care of. We're able to continue our push through the heavy cover. Ju-188 a little bit late on the bombs, which is good for me. Unfortunately, the second of those two bombs doing a ton of damage to the Australia Assault. Stug in a pretty annoying position. Going to have to try and get Rajita up there at some point. Meanwhile, just bringing in loads more Vickers. Like, the more of these big guns I can get in position, the better. Because then I can start to actually stop these Ju-88s from dropping their bombs in the first place. Yeah, meanwhile, more artillery coming in. I did bring in 6 of these 100mm, but one's already been killed by counter battery. Second one's just gone down there. But what these are allowing me to do is keep pressure onto the Stug that was covering the road, also the Pack 40 that was covering the road. And this is going to allow me to get my infantry further up and continue pressure onto this flag. We haven't really been pushed up on this hill. So yeah, I'm just putting all my efforts into swinging left and supporting Grim Guy's right flank. Another one of my 100mm is going to go down to counter battery, unfortunately. Is Skoda getting taken out. So 17 to 11. Decent lead is giving us a double tick. Tiger nicely taken out there by Grim Guy. And so I've got to just get a position here now where I can cover this flag. Now this is actually kind of a good lesson for newer players. If you do find yourself in a team game like this where you get beat quite hard on your side, don't be scared to just try and like help support elsewhere. Because quite often your extra few forces will be the tipping point that allows maybe a better player to push through. I've kind of shown it off in my Warno videos as well, where if you like help an AI, for example, the AI is basically providing you with fodder that you can use to screen your own forces. And so if you're not as good of a player, like, you're technically the fodder for another player, which is, sounds kind of bad, but is technically a good thing overall. Until you kind of like learn to do better yourself. Anyway, Jagdpanzer able to help support against the Schützen here, which is nice. Cavalerie and Motor kind of getting outgunned there. Even though they were in heavy cover against units in no cover. 2 MG42s is no match for 6 MG42s, unfortunately. And this Cavalerie and Motor having a hard time as well because they're already a little bit pinned. But you can see I'm still continuing the pressure further to the left now. And what this is going to do is create a screen for Grimguy to push forwards. Now he's doing a good job of engaging the Sturmpanzer, forcing that out of the way. But if I can get into this area, he no longer has to be worried so much about like AT guns on this ridge, or potentially like AT infantry in here, and his tanks can get way more aggressive. Now on the right, I am still being probed a little bit by Enclave, but ultimately just kind of leaving a little bit of a screening force, using the terrain to my advantage over here, whilst continuing to press on the left. Some more Paracadutisti coming in, and it was kind of nice because I felt like I was getting a little bit of revenge onto Enclave and his initial like Focke-Wulf attack on my right hand side, like supporting Atago into me, and now I'm supporting Grimguy into him. Like it kind of was quite nice. Anyway, my Cavalerie Moto getting forced back. I'm still trying to secure this tree line on the left hand side. Jagdpanzer unfortunately under fire by the multiple Nebelwerfers. Spicy is going to lose one of his tanks. I think at this point he's probably just forgotten that he'd brought them in. But Reshitsa now going to be brought up, and that's going to allow me to kill off the Stugs on the side of the hill, because they'll have, my Reshitsa should have longer range than the Stugs. The Focke-Wulf's still harassing me though. My Vickers just not really able to get their shots down fast enough. The velocity of the shells that these Vickers fire just isn't fast enough to stop the Focke-Wulfs before they bomb. That's why having like the 25 mils further up would be nice, but getting them further up is the difficulty. So now finally taking out the Paracadutisti, the Stug 3 gets taken out by the Reshitsa. I unload it on the road there, get the shot up onto the ridge, so that's taken care of. Unfortunately this Reshitsa getting smashed by the IG-33, or maybe that was like an enemy artillery piece, but I'm slowly losing my artillery pieces, as you can see. We are being counter batteried throughout this. This Reshitsa managing to get quite a lot further up, which was good. And yeah, just pushing out any infantry that was left in this cover, which is allowing the Panzer IVs to get nice and aggressive here. Venetari di Garda are going to be pushing up. MG42 needs to be pinned down. Reshitsa engaging the Stug 3. Going to be finding that kill. Lovely stuff. So more Cavalerie Moto coming in, and we're just going to continue to fight over this flag. And my artillery, my AA, my Vickers, are at least able to deal with the slower bombers. So the Autione getting pushed there off target, which is good. And it also means that we're probably not going to be seeing many of the Ju-188s anymore. Jagdpanzer holds back the infantry that were trying to push out the open. And, well, this infantry engagement just getting pretty brutal now, as Atago has started to fully reinforce the position in which I'm firing. Thankfully, artillery there able to help take care of the IG-33, and you can see that I'm going to be focusing the IGs further back. I was getting away with keeping a few of these alive, and that was very, very helpful. Rashidza here going to be claiming themselves a Schützen kill. Or not, as it gets back into cover. But the Kalashimoto in position now to start pushing forwards. We have actually managed to briefly capture this flag as Grim Guys Venatori Moto managed to get across the open. Now off map coming in. And that's going to be doing a decent amount of damage. Takes out the Rashidza on the road here. Takes out one of my Kalashimoto. And it's definitely going to hold us back. But we are still 16 to 12 as Spicy Rub's done a good job controlling this flag. We're still contesting this flag, which should be on their side. I think this flag technically is on their side, or should be on their side at the start. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, generally speaking, we're doing an okay job. Down to 15-13. It's good enough. Rashidza takes out the Pack 40. Jagdpanzer there, you saw, took out the Stug. So we're getting some good trades in. But I've just got to keep my pressure up, honestly. That's all I can really do. Some more Kalarashi coming in. I'm bringing in some 25mm AA and another Bofors. These are going to be brought in behind the tree line here so that I can maybe get them through the heavy cover and further forwards to stop attacks like this. You can see even with the multiple Bofors and Vickers that I have, I've got 4 Vickers, we got 2 Bofors. It's not going to stop 3 of those dropping their bombs and wiping out that poor Venatori de Garda. You'd think by now the Venatori de Garda would refuse to move into that tree line, but hey, here we are. The Ju-188 there trying to fall back. Kind of just suiciding into our AA. Works out quite nicely. Taking out one of those 1,000 kilogram bombers. Finally. Chonit, unfortunately able to get bombs onto the Kalashimoto, so I'm going to be losing those. But let's continue to push more and more and more infantry into position. Like at this point, I really don't have any armor. Like the only armor that this division gets is the Turans you saw already, the Zrenis you saw already, and then the Jagdpanzers. So you don't have much choice and you don't have much availability. I've just kind of saved my Jagdpanzers for when I really need them, and in this case what I'm trying to do is get my Kalashimoto and the Jagdpanzer to push deep to this flag. Unfortunately both those transports getting killed by the Sturmschützen and their MP44s. But if I can hold this flag, then it gives us 16-12. And there's only 2 minutes 30 left on the clock, even with a single tick. Ochone does manage again to get its bombs off. My AA just not enough. We do end up getting the kill at least. But both those Kalashimoto squads get taken out. The Jagdpanzer has run out of HE shells, but that doesn't mean it can't use its remote machine gun. A remote controlled MG42 is really, really cool. Kalarashi killing the Schützen nicely. And Kalashimoto here getting the better of Sturmschützen. That's good. So we're holding across the front here. My Kalarashi. Really difficult for him to deal with actually. These are pretty nasty long range squads because they even outrange his Schützen. And Schützen now had like his best long range infantry. Another Ochone. This time not getting through the AA, thankfully. And that gets taken out. Now only 1 minute 20 seconds left on the clock. I did try and cheekily push down a Roshari on the right hand side, but you can see the IG's got the better of those. But it does give targets at least for my artillery, which is still firing away. More Roshari on the way. Roshari being more useful for like medium range engagements rather than long-range engagements. So they will be good in like the light cover here to deal with the Sturmschützen, but the Archone once again coming in, getting the bombs off, killing his own Sturmschützen there, or friendly Sturmschützen. Which is actually good for us because it means that won't be applying pressure to the front line. Grim guy's going to try and engage the Stugs with his T4s. They do have like a reasonable chance of hitting the mark, but not with heat. The heat shells, whilst they do have more damage, only have 35% accuracy. You can see the shell moves really slowly, and it basically never hits. They're able to take out one, with one of the T4s at least. I'm just waiting for my Jagdpanzer to recover so I can ambush the other. But that's going to be the end of the game. And we take the minor victory after 41 minutes and 30 seconds. And there we go. A nice game with the 8th Cavalerie Purtata. Not necessarily the strongest division in the Blood Feud and Transylvania DLC, but wanted to show it off here, and I thought this was an interesting game, especially considering we came up against 78 Sturm and 4th Fallschirmjäger. 78 Sturm, really solid 2,000 meter range engagement division with strong infantry, and the 4th Fallschirmjäger potentially one of the best Axis divisions in the game right now. So kind of shows you what you can do with the 8th Cavalerie Purtata. I think it still struggles. I should have really tried to utilize like commanders early on to get extra veterancy on the Kalaashimoto. I think if you do that and you make the MG42 infantry really strong, then you can win the infantry engagements. But you're always going to have trouble against like stronger Axis armor like Tigers, Panthers, anything with 200 meter range that you just can't match with things like the Jagdpanzer 38Ts or the Zorini or the Turans. Like they're just not good enough. You do have the Resitsa, but that's very dependent on how much artillery your enemy has, how much 2,000 meter range HE support the enemy has. So that's basically what you need to consider with the 8th Cavalerie Purtata. If we have a quick look at the kills and losses, my artillery did a great job for me. Killing like the Nashorn here, killing Pack 40s. This one actually killed one of the 172 Morsers, which was really nice. The infantry otherwise just trading more or less 1-for-1, which is okay in this sort of situation because my opponent's infantry is quite expensive. Like Sturmschützen are expensive, Schützen are expensive. Like a Pioneer Kalari trading for a Sturmschützen or a Schützen is pretty good. Whereas like Kalaashimoto trading for Schützen, they're more or less the same kinds of squads. So for 1-for-1's okay. But these Focke-Wulfs early on really caused me a lot of problems, lost me that right side really hard. The Begleits then following through, mopping up Wundertore de Garde like nobody's business. Also the Nebelwerfers were nicely used for a couple of strikes at least. Off-map did come in later on, but couldn't really stop the inevitable. Nice job by the rest of my team. Great job to Grim Guy and Spicy Rup keeping the pressure up elsewhere when I was being hit by 2 players there. So that's it. We'll leave it at that. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.